Tonight is the final Incompetent Sports Talk of this school year, so we're reminiscing about the year that was on Incompetent Sports Talk. Welcome to the final Incompetent Sports Talk of this season. So Mike Rabin, Jordan Loperena, I'm Alex Salzma, and we decided to do something a little different tonight. We have just a little table, and we're just going to chit-chat about the whole year because this was just a great year of sports, and it all started for us with the college football season. Iowa accumulated in Iowa's biggest bowl win since the Evashevsky era and the 1959 Rose Bowl, and I think we're just lucky to be here. I mean, this is a great era in Iowa football. Last year we went 9-4, great year. Then this year, just the amount of classic games, the nail-biting finish that nearly resulted in a heart attack at UNI, and then what happened in Indiana, what happened at Michigan State, the 10-point win at Wisconsin. I mean, what did you guys think about this football season? Because it was just great to be a Hawkeye this year, Mike.
Well, let me preface it by saying this. The juxtaposition between having one of the best Iowa football teams in the history of the program, along with one of the worst Iowa basketball teams in the history of the program, was tough to swallow after such a successful football season. But nonetheless, you know, Jordan and I, we traveled to Penn State and got to see that victory, and then to come here and be able to talk about it. And then week by week, you know, we just keep winning and winning and winning. And we go into that Northwestern game and we lose, but at that point we're on this show and we're fourth in the country. And to be here at a time when your program is top 5 is something that I will never forget. And when you think about it, you know, schools like Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, some of those USC traditional schools, they're used to being in the top 5. If they're not in the top 5, like USC was at the end of the season, then it's a huge deal. You know, but it's the opposite for us. When we get in the top 5, it's unbelievable because it just doesn't happen very often. I mean, we've been a competitive program, but we're not consistently a top 5 program.
And the first ever 9-0 start in the history of the school, and we were here for it.
Yeah, we were. I mean, I couldn't thank Coach Ferentz and the football program enough for giving me a senior year like that to cover. You know, being in the press box for every game this season, home, away, bowl game, you know, if it wasn't one thing, if it wasn't 2 blocked field goals against a 1AA team that almost came into Kinnick Stadium and Appalachian State at us out of any kind of respectable season, we could have finished 11-1. Yeah, and might have not gotten into the BCS.
And we won the game and dropped out of the rankings.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and we didn't get back in for a long time.
Yeah,
and then it seemed just like that. Uh-oh, watch out, Iowa's creeping towards the top 10, haven't lost yet. Uh-oh, they beat Wisconsin. Uh-oh, they beat Michigan State, and they're number 4 in the nation. Uh-oh, Indiana is going to ruin our Halloween. Wait, no, Tyler Sash has different plans. He wants an enjoyable evening on Halloween, just like everyone in that stadium. That game, I think, will be one of the ones I remember. I'll never forget the amount of open road me and you hit on our way out to Penn State. That was just an absurd amount of driving for one weekend. But the one thing that stuck in my mind from that trip is when we were in line at the convenience store gas station on our way out of State College. And this is what looks like a lifelong Penn State fan, an older gentleman, saw us in our Hawkeye stuff, and he's in his Penn State stuff. He goes, "You know why you guys won that game last night?" And we're like, "Oh, you know, well, yeah, I mean, it was a close game. Why'd we lose?" And he goes, "Well, because you have the best coach in the nation." And this is a guy whose team is coached by Joe Paterno. And I truly believe Coach Ferentz, year in, year out, does one of the best coaching jobs in the entire country. Maybe not the best every single year, but if you put together a string of seasons consistently on a year-to-year basis, Coach Ferentz, and he deserves to be where the program is right now, and he deserves hype for next season.
And what was great about this year too is, and we talked about going on the road, but we got to go to so many great venues this year. I mean, and you already talked about Penn State, but going to Camp Randall, going to one of the great cathedrals in college football, Ohio Stadium, even going to East Lansing, and then going to the Orange Bowl and seeing 40,000 Iowa fans everywhere you went, no matter where it was in Miami. I don't know how many Iowa fans we ran into at the Miami Heat game the day after. I mean, they were just all over the place, and we just going to these places, seeing the community of Iowa fans, no matter where you go, and the respect that, at least for the most part, we were shown by other fan bases. Yeah. I guess not so much Wisconsin. But
no. Yeah, I was down in North Carolina when Iowa played Arizona. I went to the North Carolina-East Carolina football game, family on both sides, went to both ECU and UNC. And I remember sitting in the Carolina Brewery watching Iowa play Arizona. And I grew up a lifelong North Carolina fan. But I was sitting there when Iowa made plays and scored touchdowns, that I was cheering for Iowa as hard as I'd ever cheered for North Carolina. And I think this football season really, I mean, I've been cheering for Iowa the last couple of years, but this was the first time that I truly felt that I was a lifelong diehard Hawkeye fan. And it helps when you win, obviously. But being in that situation in North Carolina at UNC, the school that I always loved, and to be there cheering my heart out for the Hawkeyes, it just made me realize how special this football season was.
Isn't it just interesting, too, how much joy we get from a Hawkeye victory? It literally makes my week. If we lose, it ruins my week until actually the next time we get a win.
Yep.
But if we win, it just makes it that much better.
Ruins half our weekend. ruins
after we lost to Northwestern, I cut off all communications with people pretty much for that entire Saturday, and I went and gambled for the first time in my life. So it just shows you.
I know. I don't think I even spoke more than a word or two to you after that game, and then I don't think we just shoot some text back about the games after Iowa would play, and I know me and you just weren't. I just knew to let you settle. I don't think I shot one text at you. It was just kind of gonna let this one play out. Got home. Sat back and thought about what a great run it was. Before that, it was an unfortunate loss. If Ricky doesn't get hurt, we don't lose that game. And that's not a strike against James Vandenberg or the coaching staff. You just don't prepare for that. I can't be happier with the way our season ended. Granted, we lost 2 out of 4 to end the year. We won 2 out of 4. And we beat Minnesota again. 67-0.
2 straight years they haven't scored.
I can never hear those words enough.
Over the last 2 years, 67-0. That is quite a feat, and especially I was happy we got that one for you because I know you wanted it.
Well, it's a beautiful thing, and that Minnesota game, in all seriousness, is a reflection of how good the coaching staff is. I mean, we're dealing with injuries. Adam Robinson got hurt in the middle of that game. Wager had battled some injuries the week before at Ohio State and didn't play. Vandenberg, his second true start as a quarterback at Iowa coming into that game. We don't have a lot of offense, but the defense steps up and dominates, and we win 12-0. We barely put any points on the board. We battled to get our only touchdown that really was facilitated by A.J. Eads' interception and got the ball to about the 40-yard line, and that's what really got us there because we couldn't put a drive together and get down the entire field and put it in the end zone.
You remember at one point, too, in that game, I thought we had almost unarguably the best linebacking core in the Big Ten this season and arguably one of the best in the nation, obviously with 2 of them drafted in the first 4 rounds. We had Bruce Davis playing middle linebacker who hadn't been on the depth chart the week before, and Troy Johnson had to start that game when Jeremiah Hunter couldn't go before that game started. So we were out there with, Hunter wasn't a senior, but Pat Anger, the heart and soul of that defense, he wasn't even out there. And Bruce Davis comes up with a huge fumble recovery, and Troy Johnson's the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. And that just kind of showed those 2 were not on anyone's recruiting agenda. And they come in to this little football factory that Coach Ferentz has, and they took advantage of their opportunities. So, and if we don't lose that game, we're playing in some really crappy weather against LSU on New Year's Day in a pretty crappy stadium in Orlando.
Yeah. Which, by the way, they are getting field turf there now.
There we go. Well, I think